Let me get it together. Let me get it right now. Y'all see that? Yeah. Let me see this video right here. Let me see this video right here. We're gonna talk about that. You know what I mean? Let's get it started. Make sure we good. Make sure we straight. Charlemagne, is we live? We live, Charlemagne? All right, cool. All right, cool. So, guess who's back? Still smelling all of my clothes, ladies and gentlemen. So a few days ago, I dropped my rant about Goodz and Jimz's altercation at the RBE event. Now, I think when I dropped my video about that, I wasn't quite sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think Champion had dropped their response to it yet. When Champion eventually, when J Black and Tech eventually released their response, honestly, I was appalled. Just to use J Black's terminology. It was so confusing to me. And since then, all parties have released blogs where they have squashed everything, you know, amended all the problems, and most importantly of all, ARP and Lawrence and RBE did not lose that venue. Ended up talking it out with the venue, and they get to keep it, which is great, you know, good for them. What I want to talk about, I was going to make this yesterday, but didn't really have the time. What I want to talk about is, even though J Black and them came back and, you know, apologized essentially for what they said, I kind of want to address the mentality they had. And I kind of also want to address all the people who've agreed with what they said just because they're a champion. I hope y'all feel stupid now, because even when they came out and said they weren't thinking, I don't know why they said what they said. And now y'all look crazy because y'all at least had, y'all weren't even in the situation, and y'all were a third party and could have analyzed the whole situation way better, but y'all just jump on whatever side takes your fandom. Now, when I said, when Goodz, if you don't know what happened, during the RBE event between Goodz and Jimz, Goodz said, on the third round, they're playing Swear to God like a lot of battle rappers do. Goodz said, swear to God you don't want to have this battle on Smack. And then Jimz said, you lying. And then for some weird ass reason, Goodz says, I put that on my daughter. And Jimz says the same thing he said before he said it. He said, you lying. And then somebody from the crowd says, he's lying on his daughter, or he ain't lying on his daughter. And somehow that made Goodz mad enough to punch Jimz. I still don't understand it. I know it's just the dude was drunk and doesn't have a good explanation. But let's really talk about this. What is it with our culture and bigging up all the wrong stuff? Like, when I was younger, I used to be like, all right, whether it be hip hop, whether it be black, whether it be people, whether it be anything, when you take culture, that's what I mean. I used to be like, I guess this stuff is valued because it makes us seem tough and it makes us seem cool. Now that's a kid's mentality. As I grew up and I started realizing how none of that stuff really matters, it started making me question, like, how are these people who are grown men and women, grown people of the culture, how do they still perpetuate this stuff? How is it that battle rap, or black people in general, always seem to get the shortest stick in everything, yet we still have this mentality to create problems for ourselves? And I'm getting in my bag right now. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily talking about the punch itself as I am talking about the aftermath and the response. Like, Champion, J Black, and Tech 9, you were wrong. And I'm glad that you're man enough to come out and say that. But what made me so upset was Tech 9's response, because it speaks to a bigger issue. Tech 9 was trying to justify why Goodz punched Jimz. It's exactly what he was doing. And he even came out and said that. He said, I don't know why I was doing that. Jimz was 100%. Jimz is becoming I'm liking Jimz more and more every day. Every time he gets put in one of these situations, it really just reflects that people kind of don't want him to win. And I keep asking myself, why? Is Jimz the chosen one? Are y'all like, why Jimz? Jimz doesn't do anything to bother anybody. I literally don't get it. But then my predictions in the first video were right. I still think Goodz punched Jimz for a combination of he was drunk and he didn't like the way the battle was going. Goodz said he only had 2 bars left. Now, I don't think it was premeditated before they walked into battle. I said that because Goodz made a good point. He said, why would I write 3 rounds just to punch the dude 2 bars at the end of them? Facts. So I don't think he did that on purpose. But this whole mentality, this whole culture of, because here's the thing that upsets me about our culture. We will tell somebody to do the stupidest thing in his life, right? We will make fun of somebody, we'll poke at them for not doing it. If we feel somebody's disrespected, we tell them that they have to hurt the person that we feel disrespected them. Even if they don't feel disrespected, we don't go up to them and be like, yo, did you feel disrespected? We just say, oh man, I wouldn't let him do that to me if I was you. Like, and then we wonder why we don't have anything. The second that Goodz punched Jimz, my logic took over. It wasn't my pride. And I be thinking like our culture has PTSD. I really do, because the way in which people get mad when other people get disrespected, this is how crazy it is. Someone will get disrespected, right? Somebody else will get disrespected. Like your neighbor will get disrespected. And for some reason, how they deal with that disrespect makes you look at them differently. That's fine to have that mentality, but where does that go? Do y'all not step out the picture for a second and be like, maybe this is why we can't have nothing? Maybe this is why people look at us a certain way, because the only way we know how to deal with internal problems is just violence. And I think I said this in the first blog too. I think the main issue comes in, yeah, I'm getting in my bag, by the way. This is not really about the fight itself. It's the psychology and the culture of accepting things like that I really want to talk about. Because to me, I think that has to do with insecurity also. I think that we are so violent sometimes because we don't know how to deal with emotions. Or I think if we had the ability to go to somebody and say, you hurt my feelings, that would change a lot. But for anybody who watched that video and thought Goodz was in any way the right, you're the problem. You're one of the biggest problems our culture will have, has, and had. Because you're the rotten apple in the bunch. Because you go around and you tell everybody else that how they're supposed to handle the disrespect. I saw folks being like, man, Jim's better. And I was like, Jim's better what? I love how Jim said it in his blog. He said, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to kill him now? I'm supposed to take myself away from my family? I'm supposed to take away myself from my people? For what? For nothing, Jimz. And I hope this is the new vibe. Like, people get mad at like the new rappers. People get mad at the way everything is now. People are mad that even hip hop is more mainstream, or it's more mature. It really is. As crazy as it sounds, people think it's more immature. It's not. Like, The old heads are really mad that hip hop isn't as violent as it used to be. And they're not even talking about the music. I've heard people say things like, man, I miss back in the day when at an award show, dudes would be getting to big ass brawls and stuff. And it's like, you miss that? You miss that. And I also hear people like, man, I miss the day back in Brooklyn, you dudes was getting stabbed walking down the alley. You miss that? And then that's the part where I think it's PTSD. I really think it's like, maybe PTSD is not the right word. You know, like, there's a thing when you kidnap somebody, right? What's it called? When you kidnap somebody and then you convince them through the kidnapping that they need you, and then they like fall in love with you through the kidnapping. Oh my God, what is it called? Y'all can Google it, but I feel like that's what black people are. I'm gonna just say it. I feel like black people have been put in conditions and told the way we're supposed to react to those conditions for our entire existence, really, in America. And the older I get, the more it just makes my skin crawl when I see like things like that. When I see things like okay, if this was two white people, right, and they would have gotten to a scuffle, pushing fight, yelling thing. First of all, not 100% would have turned into violence, but, and I'm not just saying because black people are violent, but I'm saying that black people sometimes are forced to be violent because if we choose the more mature, smarter thing to do, we get looked at as soft. And for some reason, no matter if you're a 3-year-old black kid or you're a 60-year-old black man, we still value, for some reason, we never lose, like, we still value that childish stuff no matter what. I don't know why, like, but I'm glad Goodz came out and said he was dead wrong. I'm glad he didn't try to justify, like, man, if someone was talking about my daughter, then, and I'm even gladder that most people came out and said that the thing that I said originally, before I heard anybody else say that. That's what, when I made the metaphor of Goodz, that's like bringing your daughter to a fight, and then you and the dude who's fighting gets in a scuffle, and he accidentally hits your daughter. That's your fault, not his fault. Like, I like how everybody brought up the fact that Goodz, you brought up your daughter. And my last point I want to make is I heard that Goodz has it in his contract that nobody can bring up his daughter in a battle. That needs to stop right now. That needs to, Goodz, just, and remember, I love Goodz. I love Goodz. One of the funniest people in the culture, which makes this even more awkward to me. But Goodz, you, what was I saying? Damn, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, the contract. If you have a contract that says what people can and cannot say to you in a battle, then maybe you shouldn't battle, bro. Like, are you forced to battle? Do you have to? Because I don't see how somebody whose skin isn't tough enough to hear about his daughter wants to be in a sport of lyrical disrespect. You are in a sport where the person wins by disrespecting the other person better and more creatively. To me, that would be like a boxer who has a contract that says you can't hit him in the face. Why are you doing this? I'm sure Goodz isn't hurting for money. That's the part that confused me the most. It's like, why are you doing it? You don't need to battle. Like, you don't, because to me that opens up another can of worms. So where does that stop is the question. Where does it end? So battle rappers, so if there's an angle that battle rappers don't like that might kill them, they can just put in a contract that you can't say that about them. And if you want to see them battle, then you have to abide by that. There's no preferential treatment. You gotta hit where it hurts. And clearly your daughter's where it hurts. It's not fair. I know us as a culture, going back to what I was saying, for some reason it's okay to say you're gonna shoot somebody's mother in their face. It's okay to say you're gonna stab their homie. It's okay to say you're gonna kill their kids. But if you talk about my daughter, nah, I know people try to push that, you know, noble angle. That's not noble, that's just corny. Like, you're just picking and choosing what to get offended by. But anyway, cut that whole contract stuff out or stop battle rapping. My name is Screw. If you agree with me, put it in the bottom. Make sure you put hashtag SJ Nation. If you don't agree with me, put it in the bottom. Make sure you put hashtag SJ Nation. My name is Screw. Pretty freaking awesome. But wouldn't be nothing without you, the SJ Nation. And I love you. Face.